Yo, it's Free Shipe on the radio and you're listening to Wavy Room. We're back. And I know we dropped one episode and dipped, but we're really, truly back now. How are you doing? What a summer. I had to experience the agonizing pain of cancelling the party due to the poor weather in Ireland. And a barbecue party at that. The pain. Wherever you are, I hope your summer has been great so far. Only a few weeks left, so make sure you make them count. As you know, I love music, and I've been growing my DJ craft a ton this year. While I couldn't throw a party and showcase my skills, I made a mix to give you the summer feels that I couldn't have myself. Afro piano, Afro vibes from all around the world. Check out my mix in the show notes. I'll leave a link to it. I have a lovely guest in the studio today. I'll be speaking with Farah Elle. She's a talented Libyan-Irish artist who released her debut album FATIMA just under a year ago. I spoke to her a few months ago in April about her music and her inspirations. You'll also hear some music off her album too. And now, my conversation with Farah.
Hey, it's Farah. This is Wavy Room with Free Shipe on the radio.
Hey everybody, this is Wavy Room. I'm Free Shipe on the radio, and I have Farah Elle in the studio today.
Hello.
Good to have you on the show, Farah. Welcome aboard.
Thanks for having me. Delighted to be here.
Your album and your music, the song Silk, is called Status. It's one of those things that people are whispering in the hallways of the supermarket. Before we get into your wonderful album, I'd like to talk a bit about you. What is a place that your story starts, and how is it going so far?
I'd say when I was a kid and I noticed that when there was music on, it was just a nicer atmosphere. And I was always drawn to the things that brought people together because I found myself needing to do that, you know. Growing up in Ireland, music was a really safe place to have fun and just to be. I really like just existing.
Really?
When there's music there. Yeah.
Were you one of those people that you found yourself softly harmonizing when this music was playing?
Yeah, I'd be that person, that really annoying person that when they go to see a show is like doing their own thing.
Really?
To the band, like, you know, coming up with my own little parts and stuff. Like, since I was a kid, yeah, it's really embarrassing actually.
Okay.
And like everyone's trying to do a standard clap and I'm like, why don't we just do like an offbeat thing?
How did you make the jump to becoming a recording artist?
I think I realised that I actually wanted to really do this, not just as a hobby. When I was about 19, honestly earlier, but I think I felt more empowered to do it as a full-time career by the time I was 19. I had studied in college for a little while. I did songwriting and I was gigging, and then it just kind of hit me that there wasn't really anything else I wanted to do. And this was my thing. I loved loads of other things like photography and, you know, I was always drawn to the arts, but music was definitely something that I could see myself doing in many different ways. You know, it didn't just have to be gigging. It could be, there's so many career choices under that, you know, under that title.
And when you were gigging, was that in Dublin?
Yeah, it was around Dublin. But I started really young. So I was about 14 when I did my first gig. And I've been gigging since then. And then it was always around Dublin. It started off, obviously, school things and family parties and people's families asking me to come and play music at their events and stuff.
What were you playing?
Where?
When you first started. At 14, what are you actually singing? I need to know.
Okay, so I went through this really intense phase where I'm calling it a phase, but it's still very much part of my kind of things that I love. Mm-hmm. But I got really, really into music subcultures in the 60s. So like ska and reggae music from like 1959 to 1969 was like this weird niche era that I got obsessed with. And it was about like, you know, like original skinhead and reggae and mods, and like it was all about like, racial unity and like Doc Martens and shaved heads.
I think I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, like
and hemp shirts.
I only listened to music from that era for so long, so that was my thing that I covered. So I did a lot of covers. So I covered a lot of reggae and ska music, but I also loved punk music and heavy metal and blues. So I had a long repertoire of things that I just loved to sing. And then from doing a lot of covers, I found myself writing with a lot more confidence and being inspired to write. And I loved storytelling through songs. So it just escalated real quick.
You started writing your own things immediately.
Yeah.
At some point.
Yeah, it started with like, I'm going to write a poem. And then I realized if I sang a poem, then that would be lyrics. So I would just keep going from there and like take on characters. Sometimes I would pretend to be living someone else's life and just write a song based on what I think that experience must be like. It was some mad stuff that I was coming out with. I don't really do that as much anymore, but it's...
Does it live anywhere? Can we hear it?
Oh my God, no, only in my soul. And some ancient tapes that I think I have somewhere at home that need to be found immediately and kept locked away.
That actually sounds like a fun story. I need to find that out. So I see a lot of this, combination. When they used to describe you, when people are trying to describe you, at least online anyway, they say that you're Irish Libyan. So how does Libya fit into your identity, being someone who essentially grew up in Ireland? What has it been like trying to keep that part of you?
So it's a big question, so I'm going to do it in parts, right?
Take your time.
At first, actually, it was very, not irritating. I don't think that's the right word, but it was, well, maybe it was irritating, yeah, because I didn't see why I had to hone in on this, right? Especially because it was something that was almost like a bone of contention for me growing up. But then I realized that that was the sweet spot for me. So growing up, it wasn't exactly the easiest experience being in a home within itself that already had culture clash, like differences between strictness of the life that we would have had in Libya versus the life that we have now in Ireland. So there was that clash in the integration process on a personal level. And then there was the actual community and the clash between, my seemingly waywardness, up against that, okay? And sort of how strangely traditional I can be in ways, but also hilariously, like, totally out there, revolutionary. Like, to some Libyans, I'm completely radical. It's ridiculous. And then to some, they're like, wow, she really captures the essence of Libya. So it totally depends on... But then I was like, why do we care, But then I realized this thing that I know is, it's only a part of me. So I'm not going to be defined by this, okay?
Yeah.
But at the same time, I can't deny the importance of the role that it played growing up. So once I accepted that, I actually was able to embrace it a bit better. And music was the way that I could do that. And it was actually a very interesting revelation. The way it happened was the difference that I felt between singing bil-Arabi versus singing in English. So something different happened spiritually, where I felt I was able to express a part of myself that was shunned in many ways and not celebrated in many ways. But I could celebrate it and I could be proud of it by doing that. And I didn't have to pretend to blend in anymore, but I also didn't have to please anybody with it either. I could just creatively explore this. So it was really fun, actually. So then I was like, okay, I can blend this together.
Okay.
And then everyone was like, whoa, because I'm like, unless, please, if there's more Libyans out there, hit me up. But like, unless there's other like artists doing this in Ireland, then I don't think they would have cared so much. So obviously then the Irish industry was like, whoa, what's going on here? And I was just like, you know what, guys? I'm just going to keep doing what I'm going to do. And you can like, you know, it's a nice thing to people to be interested. I'm not going to let it be a bone of contention for me anymore. Yeah. Either way I look at it, I don't want to have any more anger or anything towards it. I just want to make peace with it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that means accepting however which way it gets presented to me and how I present myself with it. So yeah, it's a whole thing. And then recently I was like thinking of what, you know, identity even means, you know, when you start getting meta.
Yeah, been there. It comes back around every few years for me.
Yeah, and you start thinking about belonging and stuff. So the conclusion is that we're just cosmic beings, Adetunji, that's it. Like, yeah.
Yeah, you went there.
We're there now, so it's cool. It's calm now.
We're all just one, you know, with the universe.
Amen.
I get this. And when I played your music because what was interesting is that I listened to your album when it first came out. And I played it several times, and I think I played it back to back about 3 times. And then I said, I'm going to let this thing sit because I need to hear it again differently without me knowing what it is and knowing that this is something that just happened, right? And so I played it again in December, and I heard a different side to it. And now I'm playing it again. In the lead up to talking to you, I played it again, and I kind of think that I'm now noticing even more things that I didn't hear before.
Cool.
And I know for sure that there is definitely the influence of your culture in it, right? And I can hear that it's something that you're trying to blend and mix it together, and it's actually working. It's working out really, really well. But what's interesting to me is how much of that is the fact that you need to represent or that you want to represent, right? Yourself and your culture, and how much of it that is. This is just, you know, the way my creative brain works. You know, it's not that I want or, you know, it must have been, I must sing with these Arabic melodies but it's just the way my music comes out. Is that ever something that you balance in your head?
Well, 100%, because to me, it's like if I force it, then that's crap. Like, that's not how I even want to make art. I want it to just, when I sit down, that I'm not thinking about it too much, that I'm one of these people that gets really emotional about their musical process. Like, I am very I love my piano as if it's my friend. And I sit there as if I'm sitting with my therapist. Like, I will sit there and I will just hang out with it. Like, and I just let it happen. I don't want to force it. And for so long, you know, especially when I started exploring singing in Arabic, so many people are like, oh, can you do that Arabic thing on like this, you know, this blah, blah, blah. And, you know, and that's cool. That's fine. I understand what they're looking for. But for me, it's like, I'm not going to do it unless it makes sense to me. And if I really need to say something. And sometimes it just comes out anyway. So what's the point in trying to just like narrow it down or limit what comes out, you know? I also think it's a really cool idea to just like explore language in general. Like sometimes sounds are just good enough. You don't even need to use words, you know?
Yeah.
But actually it's the melodies, I think, where you find yourself coming out with your mother tongue. Like, the language is a great way to let it out, but actually I think it's embedded way deeper than whatever words you decide to use.
Yeah.
You know, like sometimes I'd be singing in English, but I'm just like in my head, I'm stuck in this key that I can't get out of. And my brother is the exact same when he plays. Like, it's this mode, this very, sounds like Islamic prayer call mode. That's just a key that kind of na, 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 na. Like, I can't get out of it. I'm just locked in. So it's lovely because when I'm singing, it just allows it to happen. I don't need to think about it too much. I don't want to either.
Okay. And that explains actually everything. So I think I understand what you're saying. It's how it's coming out for you and it's how it's flowing for you, but also you accept that, you know, what you're making is a product of who you are and where you've been, and it can just happen naturally. Sometimes I every time I'm thinking of any new beats, I start to vocalize the parts with my mouth, and it sounds very Yoruba in many, many ways. And I don't do it, and I don't even speak my own language that much, but this is the kind of thing that happens. So I guess it is a creative thing. So let's talk about your music.
Okay.
Right? Okay. So I'd like to ask you about Laundry, your single off the album, which came out first. First of all, why Laundry in particular?
My favorite smell in the world is fresh laundry. Like, I love it.
Okay.
It's the best smell ever, you know?
Okay.
I could just breathe that in all day. And for me, it's such a thing about home, you know? And when someone really loves you, like, that's the kind, like, love is shown in action, right? So it's things like that. Someone fixing you up a plate, or like doing your laundry, or like caring about if you're hydrated enough. Like, you know, it's that kind of stuff.
Okay.
So for me,
It's deep for you.
yeah, but also I just love really ordinary shit. Like, I find so much joy and beauty in the really ordinary things. Like,
That's beautiful.
you know what I mean? Like, I
Yeah.
just love that stuff. I'm not someone who likes to like cause unnecessary chaos and pain in my life. I like the sort of beauty of ordinariness. Now, it's easy for me to say that, of like not wanting to, like, life is chaotic sometimes, and I get blown in all directions like anybody. But for me, it's those things that keep me grounded and remind me to be grateful for the little things. So yeah, that's a long-winded answer as to why laundry.
Okay. Okay. I don't know. It makes a lot of sense. What does it mean? You'll be coming home when your laundry is done. That one of the lyrics from that particular song.
So I was mad stressed at the time. I was gigging too much, and I was going through that chaotic, you know, phase of college where you're like all these friendships, and some of them aren't so good for you, and there's all this mad stuff going on. And I was really kind of exhausted, actually. And you know, as I said as well, kind of growing up, there was a lot of like, you know, I'm not used to turmoil, basically.
Right.
But for me, it meant so much to me when I came home that day, and like my mom had done my laundry, and I would never expect her to do that. It's not something that I, you know, I'm used to, and that type of thing. So I came home that day, and she just randomly decided to just like have it all neatly folded in a basket on my bed, like almost as if she knew I was so exhausted. And it made me so happy when I came home. And you know, that shower after a festival is like it's a spiritual cleanse. Like, so I came home, and like that was just there, and I just felt so giddy about it. And that whole melody actually came from just a silly moment of me being like, home and my laundry's done, I'm coming home and no one was home, and I was like running around the house being really silly. And then I was like, actually that kind of bangs. So I sat at the piano, and that's how the whole thing came to be.
Oh, that's so nice.
Yeah, it was wholesome.
Oh, wow. That's the most wholesome story ever. You know, that kind of thing can make me cry.
Yeah, I love that shit.
Yeah. It's just like when you start this adulting life, it's actually very small things that can be like, oh my God, you did this for me.
Yeah.
You mowed my lawn.
Yeah.
You picked up even my neighbor brings out my bin.
See, that's beautiful.
You see?
I love that.
That is real love.
I love that. I swear to God.
Yeah.
And it's so funny because they're such ordinary little things that you can
Yeah.
easily let slide, but actually they make your life so much easier.
They do.
Yeah.
They do. And that's the kind of thing that, you know, I guess we try and process and be grateful for. So in the lead up to this release, right? I'm guessing it feels different than the after, now that it's an after that you can actually talk about.
Yeah.
What was it like before your album came out?
Oh my gosh. So it took me ages to do it. So the start of the album process was 7 years ago.
Wow.
So it was a few years of recording, and then the pandemic hit. So it actually all got mixed like from a distance. I was on Zoom with my producer, and like we had this setup where I could hear the mix while they were doing it. So I was kind of listening in and doing it song by song every week meticulously for hours. And then it just got to the point where I was like, okay, I just need to make a decision now. And I absolutely did not want to release it during the pandemic, because I was like, we can't even hear our own thoughts properly, let alone like this album that I want to release. I want to do it right. I want to gig. I want to, Yeah. So I used that as another reason to wait to release it. And it came out at the right time in the end. But I definitely don't think I would need that long next time. Definitely don't. I'm actually quite eager to release music now. Like I'm
Really?
Yeah, I don't feel the need to.
What makes it different?
I just don't think I need to overthink the way I did. Like I really overthunk myself into a hole. Overthunk is a word now. So yeah, I just overthought the whole thing and just went deep on it, and just.
It's a lesson learned for you now.
Yeah, lesson learned. There's no need. And it was like I fed the bad wolf, the self-doubt one, and it just went too far. And now I'm actually glad the timing of this interview, because literally just today I made a decision, like a very conscious, strict decision with myself to feed the good wolf.
Feed the good wolf.
So I'm just like, okay, no more of that, no more of that chit chat about like what could go wrong and all that. Just like focusing on the positive in a not toxic way, but in a way that actually helps me grow and let shit go, And that's what that album represents to me. It's like me 7 years ago. I'm not that person anymore. So I'm happy to release it and let it go.
It's just a journey for you now, from the entire building process up until now.
Yeah.
So how do you feel about it now that you've made it?
I'm just so happy it's out there. I love it, and for me it's like that's my past and now is my present. I'm gonna write more and then release that, and I'm really excited to see what the future is gonna hold. Like, I'm just so glad I don't have these songs held hostage anymore.
Yeah. And man, sitting on something can be a real pain. I know what you mean.
Yeah, and I want them to be out there, and I want people to interpret them their own way. I want people to remix them if they want. I want people to sample them if they want. To me, it's just like, it's not mine anymore. Khalas. It's out there. It's for the world. It's for the world. Yeah. It didn't feel right to keep it in, even, So it's good. I'm glad. I'm really, I'm glad. I'm proud of myself.
That's a really good feeling.
Yeah.
So something I noticed from the album is that a lot of it almost sounds like you're in session.
Yeah, it was all live. Yeah.
It was all live.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
So were you recording your parts without the band since you were doing some of this during COVID?
So what we did was I really wanted the rhythm section to be live. It would have been weird for me to not do that. So we actually did the bass and the drums in 1 week years ago. So what I did was I just brought a keyboard along, and I was a guide track so that I could lock in their parts. And then I was very adamant that the piano we used was the piano in my family home that all the songs are written on. So I got the engineer to bring all the mics to my house, and then I did my piano parts to the live set that the band did, and then the vocals were done. So technically it wasn't, if you think of it, completely live, because obviously it's backing vocals and stuff, and I did all the backing vocals. So yeah, but the rhythm section was live. And
you see, that's good engineering, because it does have a very live feel to it. And when you're singing, it kind of feels like we're in the room with you, because there's a little bit of a room reverb, especially on the drums.
Yeah.
That kind of makes it sound very, okay, this is like small room.
Yeah.
This is like Workman's Cellar in Dublin or something, It's actually quite intimate. I like that feeling. Now that I know it's not, it happened, a happy accident. It's the kind of thing that makes the album all the more special.
Awesome. Thank you.
So, Rajin is a song that you sang mostly in Arabic. I didn't Google the meaning. I want you to tell me.
Great. Okay. So, Raj'in is the Arabic word for...
Sorry, how do I pronounce that?
Raj'in.
Raj'in.
That's actually very good.
Wow.
Well done.
Raj'in.
Yeah, good job.
Okay, thank you.
So, Raj'in means we're coming back. It means like we're returning. Okay, so it's like the return of.
Yeah.
Now, I actually didn't write what the part that you hear, the Raj'in, that's actually based off of an old song by an artist called Fairuz, And that's also the same goes for the intro to Silk. Fayrouz is like a really old school legend in Lebanese music, right? So Raj'een was written as a sort of, actually it was, to be honest, it's a very strong tie to like the empowerment of Palestinian people at the time when their land was, So I kind of loved this melody and I loved the meaning of it because Raj'een means we're coming back, and then it also means, now I didn't know this at the time, by the way, I just liked the melody. I've recently found out about the meaning, about the tie. But Raj'een means we're coming back. Raj'een min al-hawa means we're coming back to the air. Ala nar al-hawa means like the fire, the air. They start naming the elements. So it's like we're coming back, basically, whether y'all like it or not. Like nature is gonna just like bring us back to one another, essentially. So it's like this uprising, this kind of meaning of like empowering ourselves against colonialism, basically. So I loved this because at the time when I was exploring what it meant to me to sing in Arabic, I was like really self-conscious about the way I was singing in Arabic as well, because some people would be like, oh my God, her lahja means accent or dialect, is so like, there's a word we say like umgatta. It means like it's torn apart. Okay. And I was very much like, oh my God, like, how am I gonna, like, people are gonna be, I'm so, all this. And then I was like, screw that. I'm gonna sing and speak this language the way I know it. And so many of us are like that with our languages as well. We're like, oh, I didn't learn it properly, or I don't know it. So we get really self-conscious about it, especially because aunties and uncles are slagging us off the way we're talking it and all this tension around it. And I was like, what if we were just to like reinvent it for ourselves, and just do what we can, just say what we can, and not lose for me, the very important thing is not losing the actual tongue. So the ability to pronounce certain letters. So that needs to be held on to through practice. So I was like, I'm still just going to sing what I know and do what I can and make my own spin of it. So, the whole part in Raj'een about like all the nutrients I fed her is like, feeding the good world, feeding the creativity, feeding the part where I'm proud of it and wanting to express it in a way that's not so apologetic or self-conscious.
It has such an energy to it. Like it's very, I don't want to say aggressive. It's just fierce.
Great. That's cool.
Yeah. It comes across very, very strong, and, there's a lot of sounds happening very, very quickly, and, you sound very, very passionate, even more than some of the other songs. It's just very, listen to me.
Cool. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay, so we're going to take a break, and then we'll be back. This has been Wavy Room with Free Chef on the radio, and I have Farah in the studio. So, Farah, what is your favorite track off the album?
I have an underdog one and then I have an obvious one. So
okay,
I
want to hear them both.
Okay, I love Desert. Because it's just like raw. And then I like Howl.
I was listening to Howl.
I like Howl.
I love Howl.
Yeah, Howl doesn't get a lot of... I like Howl.
Yeah.
There's something about it. I don't know why. I think it's the weird...
Yeah?
Yeah.
You could play it while you're playing like a Frankenstein movie in the background.
Yeah, totally. Yeah,
in the moonlight, or werewolves.
And I like how it kind of goes, rah, at the end, like the la, 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 la. That's it. I like Howl. Yeah. But Desert, number one always.
Yeah.
Desert.
Yeah, okay. That's amazing. You've given us your favorite tracks.
Yeah.
Now, what are your favorite tracks? In fact, every time I ask people their favorite tracks, I'm going to test you to see if you can actually do it.
Okay.
What are your favorite tracks that you're listening to anywhere, from any time?
Oh. Go. Okay.
One,
anywhere from any time.
Anytime and any place and anybody.
So as in it suits any time. Okay, Telephone by No Name.
Okay, yeah. I know No Name.
Oh. No Name's like my deepest inner thoughts put into music. And then I love New Mode by Kid Cudi. That's a great one. And then, actually, no, wait, scrap all of those.
Okay.
If I had to choose someone anytime, anywhere, I have been obsessed with Feist since I was a teenager. Feist is this just beautiful music and this artist that I think she's still gigging, still doing her thing. But like, I just love Feist music for like any time. You could be chilling, you could be like having a bath, you could be cooking dinner, you could be just trying to relax. I don't know. I just love her.
Okay.
Yeah.
Everything that Feist makes.
Everything that Feist makes. Also, wait, I was only meant to pick one. I'm going to stop there.
No.
Yeah?
Fact. Pick 5.
Okay, great. Okay, I can do that. And then the whole album, The Cool by Lupe Fiasco.
Oh, God.
Best
that
album
album
ever.
is fantastic.
Probably one of my top 3 albums of all time. And then The Love Below by Andre 3000 Outcast. And then I know you said one song, but I can't do that. You're like, I can't do one song. Like, it's not possible.
You see, so that's the test, right? Because
Yeah.
every time I ask someone to pick one song, it's impossible,
not possible.
right?
Yeah.
So the thing that I always do in return is, what about the last thing that you were listening to?
The last thing I was listening to was, we were listening to like an old school hip hop playlist in the car. But I can't remember what the last song was that played. Oh, it was Shook Ones by Mobb Deep, yeah. But that whole playlist was great.
Do you listen to a lot of rap?
Like a lot of hip hop, like old school hip hop would be my thing, definitely.
Rakim.
Well, more like underground. So like I'm dorky when it comes to my music taste, I think. So like there's this band, I have to give them a shout out because I ended up collaborating with them at one stage, which was like a dream come true for me. But there's this underground hip hop group called Cunning Linguists from South America, and they're just amazing. They're so great. Like their music is unbelievable. Their production is, it goes like, it pulls at my heartstrings every time. There's just something so special. Even the samples they use, I don't know what it is, but like since I was a teenager, loved their music. And for me, their kind of sound is exactly what I like. Storytelling hip hop, that's what I love so much. Like, so I could listen to non-stop. I grew up on that as well, so it was like very like Wu-Tang and like as well Cypress Hill, like weird stuff that just kind of was always telling a story. Like I think that's why I love Lupe Fiasco so much as well, because it was just like it kind of made me feel like I'd be walking around the world and I would have this in my headphones and I could just apply these stories to everything I saw everywhere, you know, and I would just go into this world. So I think that's why I'm so excited about like artists like No Name and Little Sims now, because like obviously their voices, but also just the level of storytelling that's in the music is so profound. Like, yeah. But then, as I said, like I have to give an ode to like the Scan reggae that I loved, that I listened to. So like Desmond Decker would be a huge, like obsessed with Desmond Decker when I was a teenager. Al Barry and the Cimarrons. And then obviously then we have like our soulful food like Marvin Gaye and Curtis Mayfield and, you know, the things that you need in your life. But then when it comes to just chilling out and mellowing and like, I love, you know, Kerrang Bin?
I don't know.
Oh, they're so good for like any just barbecue, anything. You could be, they suit every mood as well. But yeah, there's too many. I don't even know. Yeah, I don't even know.
That's okay. You pass.
That's just touching on a little bit of music that I like.
We'll play a couple of them on the show anyway.
Yeah.
Right after your interview. And something that just kind of came into my mind was when you mentioned people that you worked with. Do you have a collab wish list?
Yes.
Tell me.
Okay, collab wish list. Do they have to all be alive? Because obviously Nina Simone's at the top of the list. Okay, but it's fine. I'll let that one go. But like Lupe Fiasco, I'm obviously going to end up collaborating with Lupe at some stage in my career. Like,
okay.
That's obviously going to happen. And then we have No Name. If I could just be in the same building as No Name, I'd be all right. Like, her name's Fatima as well, by the way, which is the name of the album. Yeah. She pronounced it Fatima. Fatima's an Arabic name, like. Anyway, there's my dorky moment. And then collab list. that's the top two I can think of right now. But there's obviously like everyone I named in my favorite songs, 100%. Any of those.
Okay, what about Dead?
Dead. Nina Simone, Marvin Gaye, everyone I named again. gotta stop. Like, no, I was gonna say gotta stop listening to people who. No. So.
Okay.
Yeah, that's it.
Okay.
Yeah. That's it for now. I also have like a really big appreciation for there's a band called System of a Down. They're like
I love
System of a Down. I grew up on them.
That was my entire childhood.
Yeah, I was pretty obsessed with them, just as obsessed with them as I was with Lupe. And like for me, a collaboration between all of that would just be like the best music in the world for me. If you could just find the sweet spot between like. I think Kid Cudi touches on that sometimes, but like System of a Down, Serge Tankian, Tool were another metal band that I loved their music. So that kind of storytelling again, but just like the emotion is so strong, you know. I love that when the emotion is really raw and it's not perfect, you know.
I have to go and listen to all of these tracks again. Like it's you've given me a lot to go look up, which I'm very grateful for. This is a show about music, and it's a show about connecting creatives with, you know, what's going on in people's heads in general in this industry. And I'm very grateful that we've had you on the show. Thank you so much.
Thank you. It's been lovely. No, it's been great.
It's been amazing. You have been listening to Wavy Room, episode 2. That's our show for today. Thanks for listening. Wavy Room is hosted and written by me, Free Shep on the radio. We are produced by 808 Extra and executive produced by Studio Black. You can follow the show on our Substack, SoundCloud, YouTube, Spotify, and wherever else you get your podcasts. You can also join discussions about the show on Instagram and Substack too. This show is about all the ways creativity lives in music, media, tech, and marketing. Let me know who you think I should talk to next. Wavy Room is produced in Ireland and Lagos, but in our hearts, everywhere you are right now. Stay wavy, and goodbye from everywhere.